So, hello, welcome back. Today I want to talk a little bit about a Sony patent that they got for making a vibrating shutter button. Um, their explanation seems to be that they need it when they go into a full electronic shutter, that you don't have any sound and you don't get any feedback. Personally, I think Sony did a pretty good way in the A1 to give feedback on the screen, but I can see some logic into this research. So let's look at it because I kind of like it, but I don't like the way that they implemented it. And I wanted to figure out, can this be used in other ways and what makes sense to me. So since I also like these technical questions, I figured let's share it. So let's look a little bit at the patent that they did. First thing I want to point out is that how overly complex this whole construction seems to be. And that was my first sort of idea. Why would they do this? Of course, they say they want to do feedback on your finger, which I can kind of get, but they also did this look like a very complex setup, which we now have under the shutter button. And one thing that I was thinking about, if you want to use this on a camera, you want to use less moving parts. That will be one thing that you're looking for. Cheaper, another thing that you're looking for. And I think with these cameras, also a way to protect against water ingest in a better way. And making a hole into the body is actually a way to get water in. So um, that's when I want to get to the questions I'm having. So let's look a little bit more at this design. I'm being lazy, so I'm using my iPad again. So you can see one thing that I don't fully understand is how complex this looks, right? You can see they have a normal button and then it's sort of pressing on something and then a vibrating engine gives you feedback on the camera. It all looks quite complex. You can see it a little bit better. You can see there's quite a big construction there with the button still going through the body, then hitting the second layer of the press mechanism, and then some kind of a structure that vibrates to make it move. And I was like, why are they doing this in such a complex way? So why are they not doing it the way that, for example, Apple is doing it? So let me move my iPad out of the way and just put it over here and put something else here, which is my trackpad. Now, if you're a user of a Mac, you know that a few years ago they added the idea of these trackpads in their laptops, which don't move. And it's quite scary the first time, if probably if you've used it and you didn't believe it like I did and many other people didn't believe it. It was actually not moving. You turn off the Macintosh and then you hit the button and you go like, no, it's not really moving. It's not doing anything. It's basically a layer on top of a fixed underground, and it makes you feel like you press something because you hear. You might be able to hear it, maybe not, but I hear it and I feel it. The click, well, it's actually not there. They're using an haptic engine to provide this feedback. And as you can see, if I turn it around, there's no need for having a hole on the bottom. Of course, I can show the bottom, but I'm pretty sure you believe me, there's no hole there. So basically, it's a glass layer, which might be a bit of a problem on the camera. I'm not sure if it's so small. Not sure if it has to be glass. But if you press it, they provide feedback that you think that you feel a click or you feel a click, but I'm wondering if the rest of the body is actually moving. And I think if we look at a camera, so here we have a normal camera button, you see that if I press it, it actually goes down, I would say 2-3 millimeters. And you're never sure when the click actually happens. So if I turn the camera on, then I indeed need the audio feedback or the visual feedback to know that I've had an exposure. And I am wondering if reducing or putting such an unmovable little plate in there like Apple is doing, and maybe even in other places, would not be a better solution, because then I would feel the click, but I'm not sure because they can put it in a little bit of rubber and then they can put the fake button there, right? So a little plate there. If I press it, it's actually not moving. and is providing feedback to me, but I don't think it will give it to the rest of the body, which I think it might be a major advancement in several ways. A, you don't have to have a big structure inside the body. There's no need for it because it's kind of on top of it. You also can then program it, so you can decide how much feedback. If you're using a Mac, you know that you can set the amount of feedback that it gives to you, and also the amount of noise can be set. So I think it will be a very flexible solution. And I think also, if you look at the body structure that Canon was using, think it can also be cheaper. Now, an interesting question, of course, is could this theoretically be used in other areas, for example, on this dial? I know this sounds kind of weird, but this gives feedback. But I'm wondering, could this be almost like the same structure in the future that is not really there, but it feels that it's there? You can click it, okay. Some of these things can be clicked, this one can't. But you know that there are some of these dials that you can actually click. But could the feedback be given in the same way? So yeah, I was wondering about this patent, and leave in the comments if you think this would be workable. I'm not totally sure myself, but I think it's an interesting area of speculation, because I saw that there was lots of, let's say, this is a silly idea from Canon. I kind of think that within the implementation that they showed, it is kind of doubtful. But I do think that if you ever used these types of haptic feedback buttons, like the trackpad on a Mac, that you would go like, well, maybe this is workable, and this could actually be an advantage in the constructions of cameras and different buttons on the camera. Another an example would be theoretically, of course, I'm now picking up a lens that doesn't have it, but let's go back to the top camera. These buttons on the side of the lens. It's now a physical button, but does it have to be a physical button? Could it be such a, let's call it a trackpad-like button? In fact, it could incorporate also some trackpad functions, right? Not saying they should, but it makes me wonder if there's a future technology we could see on Sony and other bodies that use this technology. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. And let me know in the comments on the Discord if you like this idea, and if Sony or others should look into this. Bye bye.